everyone, Reaper here again with another edition of Reaper Picks Volume 3. Picked out a couple, well really a few more books for this particular video. Once again, last video I did was the Seeking Near Mint Top 20 Covers tag, which I thought was a really cool tag. So make sure for those of you that weren't tagged individually, Seeking Near Mint actually tagged everybody. So you're free to make that video. It's a really, really cool tag video. One of the better that I've seen over the years. That being said, I knew this was going to happen, and I left out one of my top 20 covers. This book actually right here, the one that I left out, would have been in my top 5 if I had to create a top 5 covers, and that's what's bothering me even more about it. But for this particular video, I originally chose 3 books that I was going to go over, 2 of which that I'm going to go over, but I had to add this book here that I left out of that top 20 tag video because that's how much it irked me. Some of you already know which one I'm talking about. So the first book that I'm going to talk about and show off for Reaper Picks Volume 2 is the book that should have been in my top 20 tag, top 20 covers tag. Now, how could anybody argue against that? That this should not be, if you own it, or even if you don't own it, this would be in someone's top 20 favorite covers. This is iconic. Silver Surfer number 4. Classic Rainbow Road cover. Look at this. I know you're getting a little bit of glare, so sorry about that. Silver Surfer coming down toward Thor. Awesome, awesome cover. This also, I believe this book in particular had a lower distribution than some other Silver Surfer books that came out. I don't know the exact number, but that's just another one of the things that I've heard over the years, that this book has a lower distribution. That's why this book tends to be, well, among having that awesome cover that you see right here, reason why this book tends to go for a little bit more money than some of the other Silver Surfer books. You know, Silver Surfer 3, the classic Mephisto cover, which is another cool cover, and even the first Silver Surfer book. All great covers, but this one I think really takes the cake. It's just takes the top spot. Super cool cover. This was actually on my top 12 books to get for 2017, and I got this earlier in the year, so I was very happy to finally get it. For years I saw this book and people having it in their halls and just admiring it from afar, and I said, you know, even though I'm not primarily a cover collector, but I do like to collect books for their cover as well. If you're a cover collector and you're looking for, you know, this Reaper Picks is always just books that you might want to buy for whatever reason. Well, not just because this is one of my favorite, but if you are a cover collector or thinking about getting a good book because you're a cover collector and you don't have this one, this is definitely something that I would consider getting. As for affordability, this is a fairly high-grade copy. I would say this is maybe in the 8.0 range, or at least what I think is a high-grade copy. But 8.0, I would say this is about an 8.0. I don't know how affordable that would be for some people because affordability is relative, but even at lower grades, like 4.0, 3.5, you could find those in that grade that still present very well, and it's just a treat to have in anyone's collection. So, Silver Surfer number 4. Moving on to the next book. Now, this was also in my top 20 tag. This one was in my top 20 tag video, but I want to talk a little bit more about it. Albedo 2. This is the first appearance of Usagi Yojimbo. The reason why I would say this is a really, really cool book to have is for anybody that is familiar with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. Usagi was one of the characters that showed up. The cartoon from the 1988 or 87, I forget which year it started. But that's how I became aware of Usagi. Stan Sakai creation, for those that are familiar with him and his work. I love the way this cover is drawn, you know, Usagi moving. It's almost like he moved aside the screen door and clicking the katana, getting ready for a battle. I love those sort of stories, like Ronin warriors Ronin samurai of classical Japan. The samurai stories and so forth. And Usagi is a culmination of that culture. And I think that's a really, really cool thing to see in comic book form and any other medium too. Seeing how a certain culture comes to life and how that samurai culture once was. And he's in the living embodiment of this samurai rabbit. What else to say about this one before I move on to the last Reaper pick of this video? It's a pretty rare book. Okay, there are only 2,000 of these printed, as far as we know. So it is kind of sought out, and when you find one, it's kind of expensive. So when it comes to affordability, once again, affordability is relative. But I think for the average collector out there that's looking to buy rarer books, I don't know if this is one that might be affordable to you. And like I said in the other video, it's got some creases along the spine. Some are color breaking, but not too many. I think a good press would bump this up another grade. I think it would probably get into the 8.5 range. So it's not super high grade, but it's certainly not mid or low grade either. But when you're looking at books that are maybe in the Albedo 2 in a mid-grade, like a 5.0, 6.0, it might be a little more affordable, but it's still, like the Silver Surfer 4, definitely one that if you're into independent books, I like independent books. I like Kamiko Primer, I like Albedo, I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because those are, they were all started out as independent books. Some of them still are. So I don't think you go wrong with adding this to your collection if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for limited run independent books, Albedo 2 is definitely one of those that's up on very high on that list. Last one, sticking with more of an independent character, Hellboy. Now, I know there's a lot of hype now for Hellboy because the new movie's going to be coming out soon, and the pictures of the actor who's playing Hellboy was in full Hellboy makeup. This is another limited distribution book. I believe, I could be wrong on this, so if I am wrong, correct me in the comments. So far as we know, there are only 1,500 copies of this. Now, for the longest time, from what I remember, this book was fairly affordable. And I know I said a moment ago, and a few moments before that, affordability is relative, but it was going for anywhere between like $60 to $150, depending on the grade. This is probably an 8.0, maybe an 8.5. It's got a couple creases, but nothing too bad. A press could probably bump it up to maybe a 9 or a 9.2. But maybe a 9.2. I don't know. But for a while, this was incredibly affordable, I think, personally. Now that the movie comes out, granted, now it's gone up several $100s. Well, that's normal. That's natural. For whenever a character is announced in a movie, especially if it's a hero character like Hellboy, expect the book to go up in value. But once again, same thing with the Albedo 2. If you're looking to collect independent books, limited distribution independent books. I know Hero Hunter loves collecting rare books, whether they be rare variants, whether they be limited distribution books like this, independent ones, and so forth. He's got a hell of a collection. But if you're into something like that, I would say this is definitely one to pick up, even though it may be like $300-400 now, even though I know that sounds like a lot of money, but if you have the money that you're willing to spend on an independent book, this might be a good one to get. Then again, it's always good to be patient. Let's see how that Hellboy movie does, and see how well it does at the box office to see if there's actually going to be a sequel. Because after the movie comes out, this book might go down. But like I said, there's a limited amount of these out there. So if that's your collecting style, I would definitely put that on a Reaper pick. Hope you enjoyed the video. I know this is a little shorter than the others. I have more Reaper Pick volumes coming out over the next couple of weeks, so I hope you tune in. And so thank you all for watching. Talk to you soon. Take care.